Hello, my name is Toby. I sing in a band called Trash Boat, and we're going to be taking a little look behind the lyrics of our latest album, Crown Shyness. So, first song I wanted to talk about was probably my favourite song on the record. Favourite in some ways, because there's different favourite tracks for different reasons. Old Soul, probably my favourite song, just all things considered. And it was the first song we actually wrote. It was the first idea that we had for this album. I remember Ryan sending me the riff very early in the writing process, and it was song 001. And I remember the chorus just jumped out at me like immediately, and I just had melodies coming at me from all angles. And the lyrics were inspired very early on as well by conversations that I ended up having with my grandfather. And my grandfather on my mother's side, he's Hungarian, and he's always been known as Muffa, which is Hungarian for mother's father. So we all call him Muffa or Muffs. It's a good little nickname we got for him. But he has a very thick Hungarian accent, and it's very endearing. And whenever he comes to a family gathering, or whenever you see him, he always calls you Old Soul. He's like, yes, Old Soul, how are you doing, Old Soul? So that's where the title of the song came from, and I don't know, I thought that was cute. He was 70 years old when I was born, so he's 96 years old now, which is just insane. So even since I was a baby, he's been an old man. And I've always just known him as Muffs. He's just been my grandpa. And it was only very recently, within the last sort of 5 years or so, when he breached 90 years old, that I became more curious about his life, because all through my childhood I would hear little pieces of his story told through either my mum or my brothers or my dad or whatever, and I'd hear really interesting little snippets about his history. And then one day I decided to sit down with him and just have dinner with him on a couple of occasions and just probe, basically, and really get to the nitty-gritty of his life. And he has just had the most insane life of any human being that I've ever had an extended conversation with. Things got significant during World War II, but he was an engineer in Hungary, and when World War II was coming around, he became caught up in the sort of Hungarian resistance of fascism across Europe, and he was involved in a lot of combat, and he was a railway engineer at the time. And amongst actual anti-fascist combat, that he got his ankle blown off by an anti-personnel mine somewhere in the field, which is just crazy. But amongst fighting, he was working his way across Europe to escape fascist Europe, or fascist areas of Europe, by designing railways all across Western Europe, it was just mad to think that under the pressure of war, a person can just rise above everything, use what they know to just work their way across the continent to escape oppression. And he eventually made it to France. This is the highly abridged version of his story, because it was several long conversations with more details than I can remember now. But he made his way to France. He married a sex worker, got a green card marriage over to the UK, and he made it, and he remains today someone who was at the forefront of railway engineering at the time. And I was sat while he was telling me all these things with just my jaw open, just in awe of the sheer scope of the things that he had managed to achieve in his extremely long life. Like 96, I can't even imagine being 96 years old. 96 is crazy. And it really put into perspective anything that I had been through or was currently going through. I mean, everything's relative and everyone experiences things differently, and it's not necessarily very healthy to think of things in that way all the time. But you know, he is my grandfather. He's part of my bloodline, and he experienced just this wealth of life. Must have been so incredibly difficult for him, but he powered through, and he came out the other side an absolute character, with smiles and sunshine, and I love him to pieces. And it just seemed songworthy at the time. He just, I don't know, there was just so much to think about and so much to consider, and so much to compare to my experiences. And I just wanted to kind of honor him and his journey with a song. The lyrics and the content of Old Soul doesn't do him justice, but I mean, I just wanted to sort of encapsulate that humbling feeling that I got discussing his life story with him. And it just gave me a sense of strength and commitment, and I just felt like, you know, if he can go through all of that and still be where he is today and have a great family and a great life, then I can probably suck it up and carry on with all the things that I consider to be problems and speed bumps in my life. So that is Old Soul. That is where it came from, and that is how the lyrics were inspired.